Hello.
That's
Hey,
nice.
hi, hi, hi.
Hi.
Good. How
Happy
are
to see
you?
you.
Nice to see you again.
First time meeting you,
Yeah, nice
Joshua.
to meet you. How do you say your name?
My name is Jelle.
Yella?
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Jelle. Yeah.
Yella.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Don't yell at yella.
No, wait, you can. You can. Should be fine.
Oh, Robin is there. That's good. In Japanese, so his name. That's good.
Hello.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Good to see
Good to
you.
see you.
That's a long time ago we saw each other. So
Yes.
nice white hair or
Oh, thank you.
blondish hair. That's it.
That's it.
Different from what I can remember.
Yes,
Was it
that's
Yeah.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
You've been okay, Robin?
I've been okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, good, good. Okay, so what should we start? So Yellow wanna lead or Robin
Mm,
want to introduce himself because I think we don't know
Yeah.
so much. Other people
Sorry.
don't.
So I know Jere. We met once 4 years ago, then I guess, and
mm,
so I don't know Joshua. So I was with Safecast in the beginning, and I wrote the firmware for the original bGeigieZen. Yeah. And recently, I've not been so active with the Safecast because of other things going on. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so I live in Tokyo, so it's 8 a.m. for me now.
Oh, nice, bright and early. It's 5 p.m. for me, but I met Rob and Luis in about June or May, and I joined about that time, but I had some bunch of family stuff going on in the summer, so I took a little bit of a break, but I'm here to
Mhm.
help now.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
mm. Jelle, as you might know. This was at the start of the bGeigieRaku project as well, and I was working with Robin on the idea how we could set it up, and we never really worked on it
Yeah.
afterwards. So we both had our different ideas, and I was started working on some kind of little framework idea that I also implemented on the bGeigieCast, and I see that you also implemented some version of the same idea as the first version in the Raku. So I can see some similarities, but also some differences. It's kind of funny how we still work differently in the same idea, basically.
Mhm. Robin has had time to look at the code already.
Oh no, I did not look at the code really.
I see. No. But if you have time, please check what we've been doing, so you have some
Okay.
idea. So we're still using basically your code for the core. I mean, for the display and everything else. But Yellow is setting up a new framework for it. The kind of
Okay.
so it's very
Sounds good, I
similar,
think.
but it's good. So Yellow wanna talk about your progress, or what do you want?
Well, I haven't had much progress since last week. I had very little time during the week and today either. So I worked this evening, continued on the screen, the little menu and the things we talked about last week, also with the sprite. I threw the sprite out. But yeah, I'm working on the screen and the screen transitions at the moment, which is going well, I guess. Mostly the SD card initiation, so like the different states the SD card could be in, combined with the if the settings are loaded or not. So if you have like completely empty Zen, you get like a different screen. Then maybe you do have local settings and no SD card. You can enter like a simple state or like a simple mode, like the simple and advanced mode change we talked about. Although that's not all implemented, but the idea is there. So just working on the screen, like some text that we can show that we can see if it works or not.
Maybe you can show Robin and Joshua the draw in out the ideas for the screen. So Robin has an idea what we're trying to implement.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me just share the screen and I guess you can all see the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had multiple iterations of the screen. Basically, we're both supporting the Core 1 and the Core 2. So kind of decided that we will not support like touchscreen at the moment, as in like using touchscreen to use the menu or something, because the Core 1 only has 3 buttons. So we use all navigation with the buttons, and then in the future iteration we can add like touchscreen support.
Basically, the Core 1 will be used for the alpha version, because we still have a lot of them. And then
Right.
when we have production going, then we probably will use only Core 2. That makes it simpler.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically these are the screens. This is just the initial idea. The text is not the text on the screen, is just basically describing what the screen will tell you. So we have like a small boot screen. It might be empty or maybe some splash screen. And then it will basically check for the SD state. Like these are the options that we have, like no SD card and the device memory is empty. So we can't do anything basically. And it could be an empty SD card. No SD card, device memory. There's an empty SD card, device memory empty. Different error message, right? No SD card, and you can still load the device from memory, and then you can like continue using the device, but not log basically. Yeah, this is an idea that we can implement where there is a valid configuration on the SD card, but the device is still empty. So it's basically like the first time startup. And then you can like have like a small information screen. But we can also skip that. It's still just an idea. And if the SD card is empty and you do have settings on your device, you can write the device settings to the SD card again. So it's like two-way. Basically, if you change the settings on the device itself, it doesn't update the SD card. So the SD card is always like a backup. And you can like reset the device and then reload it from your SD card again. You can also, in that way, not change the config through the config server, which would be used to configure the device. You can do everything through the SD card if you want to, by just resetting the device and then reloading from the SD card again. That's like an extra feature basically. Anyway, after that we have a few screens. So we have the drive mode. That's the mode that's the default, and the survey mode. And then we also have the fixed mode, which is basically...
Sorry, Yoshua knows the survey mode. We are familiar with it, or not?
No, not the survey.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, the bGeigieZen Nano has 2 modes. You can. I don't know if you have a Nano.
I don't have a nano. No.
Okay. Well,
No,
basically the survey mode, if you take out the Nano, you can like toggle it, and then you have like a handheld. You can check sources directly, and
Like using it as a regular Geiger counter, I think.
But yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And like
Gotcha.
the drive mode is like a minute record like the past minute, so like continuous counting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the fixed mode is basically every minute or every 5 minutes or every 5 seconds, depending on how we configure it. It's the feature that the bGeigieCast added to the bGeigieNano, Nano, which connects to the Wi-Fi and uploads data to the API directly as a fixed sensor, basically. And you can just keep it somewhere in your home, and we'll just upload every 5 minutes, let's say. And then we also have a screen idea for the logs. You can basically read the SD card, see the logs that have been written.
Yeah, maybe you should explain that we are planning to have a journal file going too. So we have the bGeigie nano file and basically a journal file. So we have two files on the system, and so we can always have a journey file.
Yes. So basically, what the Nano did was, if you start it up, it will create a log file and log everything into one file. The idea for the Zen now that we're implementing with is we have still one log file like the Nano. We call it the journal. And the journal is basically like a backup for your or survey mode. We get a button that basically says start logging. Well, perfect. So if you go on a drive, you can put the Zen on your car, or well, you can say start logging, put it in your car, go for the drive, get the Zen again afterwards, stop the logging, and then you have like one log file of just a drive. And yeah, you can do multiple drives, and you will get multiple log files without turning the device off or on and off, as well as for the survey. If you just want to survey something, you can go in survey mode, you can start the log, do some logging, stop it, and then you have like one small log file that you could upload. And it will not have other data points, let's say, I think, what's a good example? Maybe like flying on a plane or something. You can start the log during the flight or when you lift off, and then you won't have like data points from other areas or something. Like, I don't know.
Gotcha.
There are many ideas for this. I think we talked about this feature with ASP as well. We think it's a good idea. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's very useful.
So the new thing is just a journal that is kind of recording everything. And then the other one is like the older, like the way drives were before.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah.
Well, I would say the journal is how it was before, and then we just call journal now, and the new logs you can manually start and stop the logging.
Okay.
I thought it was my feeling was that it was one big file where everything is logged, and from there we made the log file. In the journal. Journal is basically everything, and then there's a subset, let's say, in the log file itself.
Yeah. The journal contains everything, and now if you have multiple drives, you have multiple log files. And so another, like the last screen we have is the log viewer. directly upload them from the Zen. So if you have a Wi-Fi connection, let's say you get back home, you can go to the log files and directly upload them to the API from the Zen. And you can also see if you already have uploaded them. And you can show a QR code to the endpoint where you can view it or whatever. Yeah, so these are our current ideas for the screens. This is one idea for the menu. Although I currently have different ideas for the menu because I kind of want to make the menu full screen. I think it's a lot easier with the rendering. Based on my experience.
The sprite looked nice, but you had issues with it, you said. I mean,
the sprite is great for not having the flickering, but I currently have no flickering either, and I'm not using the sprite. But the problem is that if I have the menu open, what I did was I don't render the background screen anymore. So the screen that you're on, because the menu is basically a screen on top of it, only the menu gets rendered and updated, and the screen below doesn't. To as you get like the layering, like I get the back screen and then the front. That's not cool. So I think we can either make it full screen, so I just don't see the screen on the back, or we'll have to find something else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the current design idea for the flow, at least. We currently have a lot of screens still open for like ideas, like the config mode. How many screens are there? You can see in the logging view, we have like 5 screens. So this is like the main screen. You can like scroll through the logs that you have. You can see what's uploaded. You can also view a log. So this is basically one screen section, which has multiple like sub screens. And these, like a fixed mode, can also have like a sub screen maybe.
Oh yes, sure yet. So sure you
like start and stop. Like is it where is it upload, or I don't know.
Oh, you can have you can set up maybe a very simple, like so many minutes go to production or not, or and that you can do that too, or go to config mode and start the web server.
Right. Yeah. So config mode can have like a config mode. If you go there, you can see your settings, maybe like start, maybe a button for a start config server, and then go to a subscreen where it shows like a QR code you can scan and connect to it directly, or yeah, then that's still in progress, I would say.
Discussing, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So you make like some access point on the device and then connect with your phone and then access some web page to make the config.
Same as the bGeigieZen cast that we're using.
Yeah.
And that works very nice. I mean, I'm very impressed by the work with Jelle done, and that is now version 1.6, I think, and that's very good, being honest. I mean, very, very happy with that, and it's very stable. It works on the M5 stamp S3 and the M5 stack Pico, so this is and very easy to build. So that's good.
Yeah, for the bGeigieZen, we can also add like HTML files to the SD card, which we could use. But that's an idea.
Yeah,
we could do it. It will be another challenge as well. But I currently have the config pages, HTML pages, copied to the Zen, which are still work in progress as well.
How much, like, can you keep like the pages in memory, like the with the code, or
yeah,
Hello, everyone.
we have a lot of memories. So
Hi, Lewis.
okay.
Hi, Lewis.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I forgot my headphones. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of memory. I think there's more than on the bGeigieCast, and bGeigieCast has no issues with the memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the branch with the current code on GitHub?
It's the
Sensor Reporter Framework.
yes, that
Yeah.
that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not the display part, but that's the structure part.
I see.
Yeah, this is the branch that we've been
Okay.
working on.
It goes in bGeigieZen framework folder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, your code, I put it in archive because it's still quite useful. Like getting copying over some like the Geiger counter implementation, etc. Yeah.
And also we compile differently for the core 1 and the core 2. So we have flags in the setup.
Yeah.
And for Robin and for Joshua, the next Zens I will build, and then Peter will send them to you. So you have one to work with. That's much easier, I think. Not sure yet when, but I will work on that.
Thank you.
And Joshua get your core 2 already or not?
Yep, I have it right here.
Okay.
Boom.
Good. Very good.
I'm excited to start working on it.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry, Jello. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. I have not much more to add. I mean, I could show more of the code to those that have not seen it.
Yeah, maybe that's a good. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
All right, I will share. Yeah, so basically we have different environments for the core 2 and M5 stack and the gray. Basically the M5 stack and the gray one are currently the same.
What are the differences? Like mostly the available hardware.
Yeah, the gray has some sensor extra.
Yeah, motion sensor. It has an extra
motion sensor. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can use the M5 gray flag to I don't know, to add something to the code. But currently it's not in use. I did have like a shake detector, but it has no implementation.
Oh, that's nice. You already worked on that. Good.
Yeah, because the core 2 also has this, but it's in that part that you take out. So it did work, but we're not using it yet. Yeah, but basically this this code is working with a sensor reporter framework, which I nicely built, and it's very I don't know, hacky. It's something. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically a pipeline with workers, which is like input, and you get handlers, which is the things that handle the input, like sending it to an API or sending it over Bluetooth or logging on the SD card. And then we have a supervisor, which is in this case a screen. It could be anything, like basically report back to the user in the form of like a LED or a screen or something else to let the user know, like, this is what happened to the worker. They're all successful and that has been reported. There you go. And yeah, it's basically a pipeline, so it will get data from the workers. We get like buttons as a worker. We get a battery indicator, so which reads the battery level, shake detector, which doesn't do anything yet, the Geiger counter, and the GPS. These are all workers. And then as a handler, currently I have added a worker handler. Basically, this handler creates one log entry for like the different sensors. So basically the GPS with like a CPM and like a timestamp. What else? I don't know, like other things that you would add in one data entry in a log, for example. And then other handlers would be the API connector and the Bluetooth and the SD card logger and the journal logger. So we would have multiple loggers for the SD card. Like one would write an entry to the journal, the other one would write it, like if it's enabled, to like a drive log, for example. Yeah, for example, a sensor would look like this. So we get the data that the sensor or the worker would create. And let's see, so it can produce data. The produced data keeps running. If there's nothing available, it doesn't produce anything. And once it produces something, for example, once there is a new count, like currently have the Geiger counter on a 1 second bin, so we get like updates every second. But we still keep track of like last 5 seconds as well. Was it? Does it work? I don't know. Perhaps this is not a good way. Okay, I'm now doubting my skills here. Don't worry about it. This has to be fixed. Anyway, so some data will be created. This is a nice log of everything in the bin because we did some debugging and some converts. So, and then at the end we would say there has been new data. This is basically the flag in this cycle of the aggregator. It would make this data available as fresh data. So if one handler would read it, it would still be fresh for the next one, which is a bit different from what I've seen from your code, Robin. So after this whole cycle, the data will no longer be fresh, and in the next cycle, it will just be still the same. It would still be available. We can still render a screen using this data, but it's not fresh.
Just to let you do something when you get new data, right? And then
right.
You know you've used it once, so you don't want to use it again.
Yeah. Well, the difference is that the worker doesn't know if it has been used or not, because it's just available for that one cycle as fresh. But,
yes.
Yeah. Same for the buttons.
So, sorry to interrupt you, but we have about 10 more minutes left, and I think also Louis wants to report something.
Right.
Remind you. Just
you can always add another session.
Right.
But yeah, we can switch to Louis if.
Okay, hello everyone. So I spent quite a few hours looking through the U-Blocks GPS receiver chip. Well, the documentation is very detailed, extensive. It's 475 pages of fun. But and what got me started was Rob's question about, well, can we do a cold start, warm start, hot start? And so I finally found the commands. The protocol is ridiculous because it's all binary. So, like, can you give me something readable? No. So, basically a bunch of little classes and a bunch of little test routines to convert and do the checksum and all that. But anyway, long story short, the difference between excuse me, there's a command to force a reset, and as one of the parameters of that is to basically invalidate stuff in battery backed up RAM. Either I'm not using it right or it doesn't work, because the difference between a cold reset and a warm reset is about maybe half a second, 0.4 seconds, right? So 400 milliseconds or so, just judging by, with debug statements with millis, printing out, timestamps with the millis function. If, however, I force, like I power off the core 2, and it's the core 2 that's powering the chip, the startup time is quite long. Now, of course, I'm just doing this inside. I have a metal roof, so there's quite a it's maybe not the best the best environment for this little chip to pick up its satellites. Once it has its satellites, it's quite solid. So I'm not too sure I'm getting anywhere by doing this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the question around and come back to I think Asby's first comment about having unreliable GPS fixes. They were jumping all over the place. So my question is now going to be, how can we use this tiny GPS plus API and the information from that receiver to basically have confidence in the GPS fixes that we are getting from the chip, even if it means delaying for a little while the lock. It would be great if it came up right away, but if it's not reliable, if it says, yeah, I got a whole bunch of satellites, but the fix is jumping around, that's no good to anybody. So I'm going to turn my research question back into, when can I trust this data to be correct, a correct representation of the location and time for the device, so that we can start logging? And that's
Louis,
yeah.
I think Robin has done a lot of this testing and research, and maybe he has an answer for that. I mean, he
Sure.
knows it very well.
Yeah, so it's a long time ago, but yeah. So I'm Robin. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So I think the GPS has some fields to sort of describe, the precision. Like, you probably know them, but it's like dilution of precision, I think, and you have like number of satellites and so on. So we had these issues, and rather than not logging, we decided to log all the fields and sort of delay the decision process, to later. So you can post-process your log and sort of get rid of these points at a later point. I don't know, but that's a choice we can change, of course. And yeah, so there were some issues with also with the warm start, cold start, I remember, and I also had to implement this thing. So I don't know if we're still using the same GPS module, but
no,
back
we're
then
using a different one.
it's Adafruit one right now. It's
no,
Ublox, but
there's not an Adafruit. This is the one they use in drones, and it's much easier to get and much cheaper. And
I see.
And yeah, if you get one, you can see it. It's a bit, and it's also in the BOM on the website for the bGeigieZen. It's
bGeigieZen. It's a BN 880. So Bravo November 880.
BN 880. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got it.
And so the chip inside. So basically, it's a module. It's got the receiver on top, and it's got the actual chip, and then some sort of and the chip itself includes a microcontroller, or there's a microcontroller as part of the module. I don't know if it's a a microcontroller and the actual gigahertz, 1.5 gigahertz receiver. Not too sure what goes on inside there, but it's it's quite detailed. But I'm pretty sure this is what we're dealing with, because I was able to send the give me your configuration, give me your firmware configuration, and it comes back as expected. So we're pretty sure it's a uBlocks 8, model 8M or something like that. So uBlocks model 8 receiver. So at least we're not guessing there. And from there, it's just a matter of looking at the information that comes back. It does multiple systems. It does GPS, GLONASS, Galileo. So and it has some extra modes for using the there's as well as the satellites that are whizzing around in medium Earth orbit. They also use geostationary satellites to do some time corrections. So if we can tap into that, we can get some extra precision. I'm just thinking forward. I did some I did a drive or a walk in downtown Toronto, and I looked at my log, and the position was all over the place because of multipath reflections off the buildings, right? The tall buildings. So if we can hook into some extra either dead reckoning or extra clues from that are available in that module, I think we can that would be an interesting thing to look forward in the future. Not right now.
That would be very useful, because one of the problems is if you're in the city and you're looking, it's the reflections are all over. That would be
exactly.
It's true, but it's a problem of GPS. I think if you can solve it for a safecast, you can make a company and kind of solve the solution for everyone.
Well, the thing is that the module also all is well.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Just waiting for Robin.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So in the meantime, we can ask Josh. Josh, you're getting all what we are presenting?
Yeah, I'm understanding. I think one, actually implementing it on the M5 stack would help, or at least maybe seeing how to implement code on an M5 stack will help. So I'll do that this week and get comfortable with that. And I understand the code though. That makes sense to me.
Okay, good.
Okay, Robin's back.
Yeah.
So yeah, so anyway, so that's basically it for me right now. Is just trying to figure out how to get confidence in the GPS fixes, so we can start logging as soon as possible. Can we use basically these NMEA sentences, right? The messages that come back from the device that give you extra information. So I'm going to be looking at how this Tiny GPS++ API makes use of that information, and see how it filters into it. It's got these is valid, is updated methods for each of the parameters, so location, altitude, time, and so on, as well as as an age, number of milliseconds since the last update. So just by using those carefully, we can avoid having wildly varying, the stuff that was noticed earlier. So I think it was ASB who was noticing that. So anyway, that's it for me.
One question though, I think, is if you should do this, like before logging or kind of after logging. So if you're happy with like cleaning the data and
yeah, I'm not
and
too sure.
if we're going into the log or kind of doing this as a post-processing.
Yeah, we can put them in the journal and then put them in the log later if we want to.
Oh, okay. I see.
Okay.
What do you think, Robin? What do you think of that? So
I think it's just that, maybe you come up with some post-processing, like some smoothing or kind of correction method for the positioning. And later you notice that maybe, it was not doing what you meant it to do. And if you'd like to correct this, then maybe it's better to keep like the original data, or you come up with a better way of smoothing the points or some better method, then you may be happy to update the result, which you can't do if you sort of overwrote the data from the sensors.
That's true.
Okay, yeah, certainly we can journal basically just any information that comes in, but assign some sort of a figure of merit to the GPS information. The time, I think, is not so critical because we have that real-time clock available. Now, is there a real-time clock on the original core? Because there is on the core 2.
Core 2 there is, but the core 1 is not.
Core 2. Okay, so we have to rely on the GPS for that.
So the GPS normally has one, but it only starts when you get the first fix.
Oh yeah.
And as long as you don't restart you don't reset the GPS memory, I think you get the real-time clock, even if you don't have a fix. You'd get at least the time correct, I think. It may depend on the GPS type now.
Let me check that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Something maybe a bit wild, but I think, like Google and Apple and all these like smartphones, they use Wi-Fi information to do location in cities. So with the M5 stack, I think you also have Wi-Fi, so you could sniff the networks. But I don't know if there are some public APIs where you can sort of like match the SSIDs you were seeing with some locations. So if I don't know. So if this exists,
maybe
like
maybe Ray knows that, because in the AirNode and the RAD node they have implemented that. They take the Wi-Fi. They take other information from cell towers.
In what did you say?
In the AirNode and the RAD nodes, they are new devices from Safecast.
Oh, okay.
And the RAD node is basically from Blues.
Aha.
And
like
those
the devices from Ray.
Yeah, Ray's device.
Okay. So yeah, we could check how they do it.
But that is from cell towers.
They take from cell towers. So, but the problem.
Cell towers. But for cell towers, you would need to have a cell.
Yeah, but it's
like a GSM or like 3G, 4G.
That's correct. But you can use the same concept what they're using. But the problem is the code is closed, so we don't have access.
Oh, okay. But that would be very different, I think, because like the cell towers, they will have some location information maybe available, but like Wi-Fi networks, they don't have. So Google and the like, what they're doing huge surveys of cities, with like the Google car, like for Street View. I think they also do like a sniffing of all the networks, and then they make a database and sort of match this with what they're seeing with your cell phone. And they also use cell towers, of course. But so if we don't have the API to sort of check the Wi-Fi networks, then we can't do it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so well, we'll see how far it goes. That's it for me right now.
Okay, good. So what are the plans for coming up? I mean, basically, I think we kind of catched up what we've done, and what kind of ideas for the next steps we can work on. Jelle, you have an idea?
Yeah, basically now that we're with more people, we can think of ideas for the screen designs, like what kind of data or what kind of text do we show, like the UX part, I guess. As well as some, well, it's not that important, I guess, because it's more like once we're done, we can add things to the screen or change like the screen contents. It's still nice to think about it, I guess. Basically, at this point, we have all the workers working, so we got the GPS connection, well, with its issues as we just discussed. But we got the Geiger counter and basically all the other parts. And now we have to implement things like the fixed mode, the API connection, perhaps the Bluetooth, and the settings, basically. I guess most is on me at the moment to make a little start on that, connect all the classes together so that we can work on it. But yeah, I'm having some time issues currently. I got the Sunday a little bit and the Saturday evening, basically. That's it for me. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I have one thing. I turned off the camera just because my bandwidth is. I'm getting the unstable message. The startup, where I think that's something that I'd like to see kind of charted out or planned out, because we have two issues. One is the SD card. Well, three. There's three elements. The SD card, does it have the right file on it? There's the non-volatile storage. Has that been initialized? And the third one is the real-time clock. There's a I lost power bit that tells us if it's valid or not. And so I'd like to so basically just a flow chart of if this if this happens, this happens, and then where do we go from there? Just so we have an idea of how that startup sequence works, and then we can start looking at just showing that around and say, is this what we wanted?
Yeah. Well, that's basically what we're doing in the draw IO diagram. So that's the flow. So if we can complete that, basically that would be great. Or expand on it.
Yeah, I'll add the RTC real-time clock stuff on it.
Yeah, we can also add a worker for the real-time clock. So if it has data, we can use it. That would also be nice. Although, so if we don't have a real-time clock and we don't have a GPS lock, I should say.
Yeah.
Then we should still be able to log, and perhaps like I suggested in the channel, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we could use like a temporary file name and rename it once we get a log. I think that's an all right like fallback in case nothing works.
Oh, just because the file name has the date and time embedded in it. Yes. Okay.
But if we don't have a log during the logging time, then we also have like a log file that we don't really have to upload, so we don't have to show it if it's not valid anyway.
Right. True. But it's still useful for the journal file.
Yeah, it would still be in the journal.
And you can kind of get the time and then back label it later or something. I mean,
We can just just use the millis until
yeah, I mean, you know that you're logging every 5 seconds or every so many seconds. So approximately, it will be correct, I think, to some maybe if you run it for too long, there will be some seconds and so on. And once you get the GPS clock, you can sort of put the timestamp on all of these. You don't get the location. You could like put the first location obtained to all the previous timestamps with some flags that says, it's been interpolated or something like that.
So you want to change the log file, like all the lines. Let's say you have like 100 lines of logs.
I mean, you can put it in a temporary file, and then once you get like as a buffer, and once you get the GPS and you start the true log file, you could sort of concatenate all of it before.
Yeah, that is an idea, but I think it might be better to just keep the logs invalid as an invalid GPS because.
Sure. Yes. You need a special flag to. Yeah. You don't want to flag this as a correct location, but
right.
Yeah. Again, certainly useful to put it into the journal file, but not necessarily uploadable to the maps database. Okay, cool.
If you flag it as invalid GPS, I think it will be ignored by the database anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. But in that case, we shouldn't go through the trouble to find and replace the the data because it's not used anyway. So I don't know. It's maybe for a next iteration or something.
Sure.
But it's a nice idea. Thanks. Yeah. And also, we're still on the issue of the SD card. Last week we talked about it. If we would be able to remount the SD card and also to see if the SD card is connected, like as a check.
That was supposed to be me. Basically, the question was, can we tell if the SD card has been removed and then reinserted? And can we also remount it if it's been removed and reinserted? Can you basically remount it, as you say, or does it become invalid and you have to power down or so and can you find out if so that was what to do, and I got sidetracked with all that GPS stuff. So
yeah, that's okay.
So you mean like when the device is on, if someone removes the SD card and reinsert it?
Exactly.
You can detect it. I think there's a pin that says, like card inserted or not. So you could check this during operation and sort of find out that the card has been removed. And in that case,
the question is it actually connected on the core?
I think I'm not sure on the M5 stack. I think they're using different like in the bGeigieZen Nano we're using the locker, the hardware locker. So you can there are pins there, but I think the SD card is a little bit different implemented in the M5 stack. So could be there's no pin there.
Yeah,
maybe it's not connected to any pin of the device.
I searched for it. That's why I raised the question, because I was working on one of the workers, the controller, which is the aggregator. It's also a worker for the state, basically. The state being having an SD card or not, as well as being in advanced or simple mode, which is currently still a topic of discussion. But having the SD card or not, we can switch to a different screen once the SD card is removed. We can say, all right, the SD card is removed. Would you like to continue without logging or like a simple mode or whatever? But when I was looking for it, for information on that, I found a topic, I think, I'm trying to find it again, which said that the Core 2 does not have that wire connected. So the only way to do it is to try to write something to the SD card.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Maybe I got to the wrong topic. So I raised the question if we can figure it out.
Okay.
Because it would be nice to know if the SD card is removed during the devices, what device is turned on, so we can act accordingly. But I don't want to like write something and then delete it or something just to check if it's connected every few seconds.
But I mean, something will happen when you try to write the log, right? So
yeah, you'll probably get an error, which you can then like flag like there's a missing SD card, but we could probably do something like that. That's true.
It's a pretty
that might be
extreme case to like have like let the user remove the SD card in operation, put it back then. So
it is quite risky.
Maybe just handle like the case where the log fails. If you can handle it nicely, then I think that would cover this as well.
How would it cover it then?
No, I mean if you can handle the case where you try to write the log and somehow this fails for some reason, including the SD card not being there anymore, then that's probably enough. Like you don't want the device to fail, badly, and just have some smooth error handling.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But and then we can see if we can remount it.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we can just leave the whole current state. Let's say you're in a drive mode and you're logging, and you just remove the SD card. You get a log, like a SD error. Then the controller would see the change, like the SD card is removed. Switch to the SD card error state screen, and then all the workers, etc., are also like, well, not all. Like the handlers are like turned off, like deactivated, and then the user would get the option to, well, it would show the error screen, which is, I don't know, like the no SD card, yes internal memory. What would you like to do? I think that if that is something that we can do, that's great.
I think it will be great because that's missing on the Nano. You don't know if it's really writing or not. So
yeah,
that was SD card is pretty hard. I think it's not very reliable in general. So I don't know what people are like. What happens for products, like real products, like professional people doing this? How they handle this?
A lot of error handling, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, because I guess you have two cases, like one is the SD card was removed, like permanently in some sense, or physically removed from the device. But you may have the case where the access fades for some reason, but the SD card is still there, and if you try to write again, then it may work. So how to distinguish between the two is pretty hard, I think.
Yeah. Well, we could say like if it feels like 5 times in a row, then we that might be a bit late because it's 25 seconds, perhaps, depending.
That's okay. Yeah.
Well, we'll
just continue and you
skip
the logs for this when it fails, and that's it.
Yeah, but it would be nice if we can like if you do remove it, it would also like reflect on screen like, hey, you have removed.
Sure. Like you can say, like there is an error with the SD card, and then just every time it fails to write, it sort of puts the message back, and then but if it's only like a couple of times and then it goes back online, then it just starts again and the error message disappears.
That's an idea. As I was thinking, like maybe we can have like an area on the screen. Like currently, the screen designs are still open. Like I have no idea how we will make it. I think Rob has been working on the drive screen on the other branch. Would be nice if we can copy it to our current branch as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have like an area on the screen where we have like a notification area, I think for the menu, I have one area where I use like a tooltip. So if you go through the menu, you can see like a little message like this is doing that. We can use like a similar area for a message popping up like warning, the SD card had an error, and it would just stay there for a few seconds or something and then go away again.
Or you can have, do you plan to have something like the status bar like on smartphones, you know, like where you have like network status and so on?
Mm-hmm. Like also with simple icons, so we can
yeah.
I
can have one for the SD card, and then you get like, you know, like
oh yeah, we can do something
crossed SD card when it's not working.
Or with a red SD card or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
We do have the buttons on the top, so the status bar would be either under the buttons or above. So, or maybe we can do the status bar at the bottom. I think that might be one idea.
I think it's for the display itself. I think at the bottom would be more sense.
Yeah.
So the top for the menu and the bottom for the information.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob, you sent me an example of the what was it, like a menu in Slack, which is quite similar to what we have. What was it? Where's my Slack? Yeah, you sent it last Wednesday, like this Loven launch. I don't know. Like this blue menu screen with like back, previous, okay, next, and it also has like a top bar. But again, this is with the buttons on the bottom. So if we would switch it, we can have a status bar on the bottom. I was also thinking about.
You mean the screenshot from the other GitHub repo?
Yeah, like an example that you sent me. But a screen title would also be an idea, like to show you which screen you're on, especially if we have a menu with titles of different screens, like Drive. If you're on a Drive screen, you could somewhere on the screen would say like Drive, maybe in a status bar on the left or something. I don't know. It's open because we have no design yet, but it's nice to work on that as well in this time.
Okay. Yeah, I can work on that if I can allocate time. So then we can think about.
All right. Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about.
No, that's good. I think
we started off with SD cards.
SD cards, right? Yeah, it's getting late for me. Lost track.
Hey, Robin, you have more questions? Just want to check with Robin if you're okay.
No, I'm okay. Just someone rang the door, so I will go and open. Sorry.
Okay. And Joshua, you have questions or you're okay?
I'm okay. I think I really understand what's going on.
Okay, that's good. Are you already back? That's close by the door, Robin.
No, it's someone else opened. So.
Oh, okay.
That works.
Yeah, that works.
And Robin has more questions, or you?
No, that's pretty cool. So I think I'm quite up to date on what's going on. So yeah, I unfortunately I don't have much time to allocate to work on this, but I will keep an eye on you know, the evolution of the code, and I see also a little bit updates on Slack, and I can try to join the meeting, you know, when that sort of works in the family schedule. You know, the problem is all my free time sort of is absorbed by family time. So
you better take those time. Then
exactly, yeah. So
that's a priority.
Priority, I think so. Okay, good. So I think we're done then. For this
I think
week.
so.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks a
you,
lot. That was
everybody.
very nice to catch up with everyone and meet
Yeah.
also new faces. So thank you.
Okay, yes,
You
great
as well.
meeting you as well.
And Robin, thanks for sharing the background. It's kind of cute.
Yeah. It's okay. It's my work background.
Oh, I see.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, good.
Okay, have a great week,
Yes.
everyone.
Cheers. You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye bye.